26, 2022 roll call. Honorable Daniel Eso.
I'm here.
Thank you. Honorable Daniel Eso is present. Honorable Carl R. Slater.
I'm present. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Vice Chairman. Thank you. Honorable Carl Slater is present. Honorable Paul Begay, Jr.
Delegate Paul Gate is present.
Thank you. Honorable Paul Begay, Jr. is present. Honorable Pernell Halona.
Good morning, Hello is present.
Thank you. Honorable Pernell Halona is present. Honorable Charlene So. Honorable Charlene So. Honorable Edison Wanika.
Here.
Thank you. Honorable Edison J. Wanika is present. Chairman, we have 5 members present upon roll call and 1 member not entering roll call. Chairman?
Thank you. And yeah, hey, committee members. Good to hear your voices, and I'm glad everybody's present to further the work of the HES committee, as well as our staff and all the folks that are within our oversight divisions. Thank you for all the folks on the call. At this time, let me call on Honorable Paul Begay to provide the invocation for us.
Okay, since you say that bendo Kodo Chair and Sengi Adosnal Vice Chair, members of Health Education and Human Services Committee, Ado staff and Sengi and Haka Chehigi. Ado is enough Sagi Shehat or coin Jangon here now, Ado Kodoshi Sodazan Adil Neto Leto, even a Chaya Koda Nasa Dahilungi Zadilni. They got the Yenlini, she had the call Ben Jonagon Hana Jonago Hanadi called an Hikatan in Iska Ado Kodoia Nan Shigibi Nadi Ka country not the knitting Ranaho Ade into the Yini, the Holland Ade Kotego Nick, the Sato in call by Nix and Doda Kucha Kotego Nick Echo Nita. Ado itan city belasainik. Just later, ado it adole or yato. Dobenil adan halon sea case. Ko e con judnity do quia. But the do Zahakis adon hat adat aid also. Sadat aid also ia. Yat betis necessarily a nini case a coti ben be a cot echo. By Jenitson, the coil. Asanitlengi adodishe bika hokato lesigi hatelia ya teko that ilnis ado ya niche hatahatrito leto nikitinda halno lesigi daso nakabakati loto beste itego because do tag itego hatego jongo ya kitinda hotilna ado ya navigata tilki hota ibn nachoikota Nikidene Nadi Loto by Shane, Ado Edi that son Hikido, Nikidene any cleaning, Pasodils and away shade and Lido only. Sangi Nas, Kachida, which Ekota Basodils and Hakas beyond the Nadi Kadi Kohi, Hebit Nada Hoel Jish, Kadi Lim, Hana Holiado, Namasan Hitche, Nala has clean, Nala son. I got Hataski, a corn Hana Ad Daporan, Koyat, Setiatri, Hatnand Ade, Keda hat the Bay, the Berry, what ego is Keda hat a thing because she that Pero nakabaho liado di khaybichu na bi na hol shigi hakazigi betra tishbahalo instant dole chiyanda khoda adat arabnal glosi dan lini ye inat klini ta soiden lini pasha instant dole bahalo instant dole stradi in lin aro ya di sunni tlengi so kenni tlengi kot ego yan hitchidon masan hinalota ba hui liado de sa kuche ban siki sole at isi den lengi be baji patole kot ego ado iya a so one has ago a job pato yo na ekot ego beske hui in dole ne negen nati tle kewal yehagi da asan at a ol yehagi at ado nati ke nati Edi ne negen nati tle so even na iya ta ina dil in dole Adon finat at al so pasotilsen. Reit nas en lachas ado tegohol ago sagahot sandanat at betnahas ado so hatas so kari saliego at sonat yanas dahaki pasotilsen. Ado yo tord kahot so ado hosto ado shipi tord bensa ado but ego nat apelsentilsen fiat ego ikilsen da shilden stoles. Die kon be den nation fit nebe kan anti lo adon leken sekesa ande trago ade nat after has angi ade ja ego is diesen stode die kon na khapet na hot is ko ego yan kha khaliado na nishadil nagi asoda dil ni to bohnet nago ego yakot ego na khagi na to ado ni digi hanana khidol yes is we ibit na ni tin kon ni digi na khagi aro di ni na ni lnigi atin ni hollo ado to krigoshi at ego sa bana da han do ba kon ni dol the trata khu liya dol kot ego da hollia hot dan hit ningi ke kon ni do le even na so ekot ego ni fi da khu liya do adon kha action bet na si train ke da so kot ego is ego ada khu liya do le kot ya ego de na ne khato le so actually be lady kha na khati kha ado le khadeshin da hazle go konda dot le so na de dil festa kot ego ya so dil zen shpe khadi in zene ko ba she ni zen da kodi dije kodona sin kitna hol sto le ki di kon so ko ya so zen islado le ki ben be ye khadi in zene on kon lo dot on la ke na de ni so le ko ya on kha ni ka na de lo Sahat Christo Sadat Sadat Sabahojon Sadat Yini Kot Ego be Yel Doles Kot Ego Yat Ego Benafis Yita Doles Benafi Katoles Kot Ego Sotesten Doles Tradi in Lin Niga Yot Jesus Christ Bishop Nash Sotesten Doles. Amen.
Che, Honorable Paul Begay, Gehat, for the Zenigi, for the Igisigo, Behinsi, Hitanited, Eben Nache, for Ninan il Inigi Choi, Sato. The holy beings, the greater beings, Sato, in Sahakes Nahata, Kwagi Sato, Nika Nacha, or Shehat. Ado, committee members, do you have any announcements? there's no announcements, committee members, let's go on to item number 2 on our agenda, recognizing guests and visiting officials. For folks on the call, please identify yourself. Committee members. Oh, committee members are calling in. So we're not. Oh, yeah. Hey.
This is Derek Franklin with OPVP.
Committee members, Perfilia Ballard, Division Director of Human Resources.
Dr. Rosanna Jumbo Fitch, Chinle Chapter President. Thank you.
Paula Sinas, Department of Education.
Good morning. This is Oliver Arviso, Division of General Services. Thank you.
Committee members, actually Dr. Begay here with Doty, Department of Education. Thank you.
Good morning, Health Education and Human Services Committee. This is Brent Nelson with Department of Education IT. Thank you.
Good morning, Shinantai. This is Wayne Claw with Navajo Land Nursing Home Incorporated.
Good morning, everyone. This is Marcus Yazzie, Senior Planner with Division of General Services.
Good morning. This is Pearl Lee, Program Manager with Navajo Nation Telecommunication Utilities.
Good morning, everyone. Joanne Dedman, LDA to Honorable Eugene So on the line as well.
Good morning, Chair, Committee members. This is Michelle Morris with Department of Health. I'm on the call.
Good morning, committee. This is Philbert Yazzie with Division of Social Services Executive Office. Thank you.
Yate, this is Julia Mitchell, Department of Dene Education. Nasanin National Toy Hetlini Bushes Chin Kabahe Dashe Auto Bit Atni A Dashanale. Yeah.
Good morning, this is Malvina Chi. I'm a Dena College student.
Good morning.
Anybody else? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
This is Loya Hanachne Henderson with the Office of Legislative Counsel. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Rosalind Begay with the Social Services.
Good morning, Tyrone Begay, Dene College, Crown Point Center.
Good morning. This is
Anyone
Geraldine.
else?
Hi, this is Geraldine
Yes, who?
with the New Mexico Alliance of Health Councils.
Okay. Who else?
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the Health, Education, and Human Services Committee. This is Tracy Tatati with the Department of Personnel Management. Thank you.
Thank you. For all the folks on the call. At this point in time, Miss Laureen Spencer, could you review the proposed agenda with the committee, and let's proceed forward. Thank you, Miss Spencer, for substituting for Miss Angelica Benali today.
Oh, yeah, aro, wat even aan het zo. Jay Lorraine Spencer, ja, tana Jenny English. But it goes about 16 aro hana, he does nando, ki ani does Jay, is done and she. So I will go ahead and proceed with the reading of the agenda. Proposed agenda, Health, Education, and Human Service Committee, 24th Navajo Nation Council, regular meeting, October 26, 2022, 10 a.m. Presiding Honorable Daniel E. So, Chairperson. Honorable Carl R. Slater, Vice Chairperson. Placed with through telecommunications. 1, call meeting to order, roll call, invocation, and announcements. Number 2, recognize guests and visiting officials. Number 3, review and adopt agenda. Number 4, review and adopt the journals. There's none. 5, receiving report. A, general wage adjustment completion for FY 2020 through 2021 and FY 2021 through 2022. Update. 1, Division of Human Resources. Presenter, Dr. Perfilia Fowler, Division Director, Division of Human Resources. 2, Division of General Services. Presenter, Oliver Arviso, Division Director, Division of General Services. 3, Department of Diné Education. Presenters, Dr. Harold Begay, Superintendent of Schools, Department of Diné Education. Dr. Carmen Moffett, Deputy Superintendent, Department of Diné Education. Number 4, Navajo Veterans Administration. Presenter, James D. Zorline, Executive Director, Veterans Administration. Number 5, Division of Social Services. Presenters, Gilbert Yazzie, Senior Program and Project Specialist, Human Resources. Brenda Associate Principal, Accountant, Financial Management Section. Rhonda Jishi, Contract Analysis Administration, Accounting. Regina Yazzie, Department Manager 3, Department of Family Services. Deanna Nazwit Gishi, Executive Director, Division of Social Services. 6, Department of Health. Presenter, Dr. Jill Jim, Executive Director, Navajo Department of Health. B, Gallup McKinley County Schools. Johnson O'Malley, Navajo Students. Presenter, Paulson Chaco, Chief of Staff, Office of the President and Vice President. C, update regarding U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. Response to acknowledge and comply with Navajo Nation health safety protocols and safety measures. Presenter, Lashana So, Executive Director, Navajo Nation Washington Office. Dr. Jill Jim, Executive Director, Navajo Department of Health. D, update in DOH, Department of Behavioral and Mental Health Services, Chinle Chapter, Navajo Land Department, regarding request for granting an easement through the property. Department of Behavioral and Mental Health Service utilizes in Chinle, Navajo Nation, Arizona to public road, Navajo Route 7. That status of land and the land lease renewal that the BMHS utilizes. Limited access to Navajo Route 7 for residents through the parcel of land utilized by Chinle Behavioral and Mental Health Service for service to the Navajo public. Process of step required for approving an easement for access to public road, Navajo Route 7. Presenters, Miranda Blackford, Behavioral Health Director, Chinle Department of Behavioral Health Service. Dr. Michelle Brancer, Health Services Administrator, Division of Behavioral Health and Mental Health Services in DOH. Dr. Jill Jim, Executive Director, Navajo Department of Health. Dr. Wazana Jumbo Finch, Chinle Chapter President. Mike Halona, Director, Navajo Land Department. Honorable Eugene So, Council Delegate, Chinle Chapter. E, Navajo Nation E-Rate Consortium Team seeking funding to continue and 8 E-rate chapter libraries. Presenters Brent V. Nelson, Systems and Manager, Programs Manager, Navajo Nation Department of Education, and Navajo Nation E-rate Consortium Team Member. Going to F, New Mexico Alliance of Health Councils. Overview of NMAHC, presenter Geraldine Antonio. Tribal Liaison, New Mexico Alliance of Health Councils. 6, old business, none. 7, new business, none. 8, close of meeting announcement and adjournment. Mr. Chair, thank you.
Hello, Ms. Spencer. Committee members, there you have the proposed agenda read into the record. What are the wishes of the committee?
Delegate Paul Begay motions.
Thank you, Honorable Paul Begay. I'll accept your motion. Do I hear a second?
Chair, I'll second, but I have a request, and that is for item 4 to defer that to the next committee meeting.
One more time. Item 4, okay.
Sorry, item 5 for the I assume this is the presentation that I requested on the Veterans Trust Fund set aside and the percentage. Individuals who would like to listen in are not available to do that today, and so it was also kind of put together just yesterday. I could be wrong unless this is a separate request from another delegate. So I'll defer to you on that if there's another one.
No, this is one that you had wanted to put on the agenda. But yes, I'll accept the motion to defer item 5.4 to the next HES meeting. And that would be November 12, I think it is. The next regular meeting, unless the committee wants to do, no, let's see. The second Wednesday will be November 9, day after the elections. Honorable Paul Begay, do you accept that amendment to the motion?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I do. I will go with the amendment. Thank you.
Sheila. Any other additions or deletions, committee members? I know this is one of those days we're all spread out over the nation, so, and even outside the nation. So please bear with us, with the folks on the call. And we do have to have a substitute advisor also. So that's the lay of the land, and so again, please bear with us. With that, committee members, could we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes, Chairman, roll call vote on accepting the agenda. Honorable Carl Slater, how do you vote?
I vote green.
Thank you. Honorable Carl Slater votes green. Honorable Paul Begay, how do you vote?
Delegate Paul Begay votes green.
Thank you. Honorable Paul Begay votes green. Honorable Pernell Halona, how do you vote? Honorable Pernell Halona, how do you vote? Honorable Edison J. Wanika, how do you vote?
Green.
Thank you. Honorable Edison Wanika votes green. Honorable Charlene So, how do you vote?
I vote green.
Thank you. Honorable Charlene So votes green. Honorable Pernell Halona, how do you vote? Chairman, we have 4 members voting in the affirmative, 0 opposing, 1 member not voting, and chairman not voting. Chairman?
Chair.
Yes, thank you. Honorable Vice Chair Slater.
I just realized that I made an assumption that under 7 new business, that legislation 19422 would be on, and that is the legislation for the ICWA program reauthorization. I would like to motion to amend to suspend the 4 rules to amend the agenda to include that under 7. I sorry that I missed that in error. I was going between the RDC agenda where I also have to present legislation and here. We have Ms. Deschini on the line. I emailed out the presentation. There was an issue that was identified where the Office of Legislative Counsel made an error in the committee assignments. And in the title of the text on the legislation, it said it was assigned to the Resources and Development Committee. And from what I understand, the legislation has been reassigned to the Health, Education, Human Services Committee. And from there, we can make a floor amendment to amend the title. But this is a very important legislation and it's timely in terms of getting the reauthorization with the feds. And when we consider the upcoming Supreme Court decisions and or hearings or arguments that will take place, I want to make sure that we're moving forward on this. So I apologize, but can we amend the agenda to include 19422? And that'd be 6A, I believe. Or sorry, 7A.
Thank you, committee members. I'll accept the motion to suspend the rules. We'll suspend the rules. And Ms. Laureen Spencer, give me guidance. Suspend the rules and vote on that. And after that, then we vote to amend the agenda. Is that the way we proceed?
Mr. Chair, just a question to Mr. Slater. You're adding this document onto the agenda right now, right?
Yes, Ms. Spencer.
Okay, so Mr. Chair, Mr. Slater is adding document number 0194-22 to the agenda, 0194-22, and he is okay with that right now to add it to the agenda, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Ms. Spencer, we already voted to adopt the agenda.
So this will be Amendment 1 to add the agenda, the legislation to the agenda, Amendment 1.
Okay, Honorable Carl Slater. Second, Wanika. Okay, I'll accept the motion to suspend the rules to do Amendment 1 to add legislation 0194-22. Motion by Honorable Vice Chair Carl Slater, second by Honorable Edison Wanika. Committee members and staff, if need be, let's establish a different call-in number in case we need to go into executive session related to this particular item. Committee members, that's how we'll proceed. Staff, could you provide us the roll call on this particular motion?
I guess Chairman So, Roll call vote on the amendment. Honorable Carl Slater, how do you vote?
Green.
Thank you. Honorable Carl Slater votes green. Honorable Paul Begay, how do you vote?
Dr. Paul Begay votes green.
Thank you. Honorable Paul Begay votes green. Honorable Pernell Halona, how do you vote?
Paul votes green.
Thank you. Honorable Pernell Halona votes green. Honorable Edison Wanika, how do you vote?
Green.
Thank you. Honorable Edison Wanika votes green. Honorable Charlene So, how do you vote? Honorable Charlene So, how do you vote? Chairman, we have 4 members voting in the affirmative, 0 opposing, 1 member not voting, and chairman not voting. Chairman?
Yeah, committee members, we've adopted the amended agenda. So, regarding this particular legislation, Honorable Carl Slater, did BNF hear this legislation yesterday?
BNF adjourned without a quorum, or maybe they didn't adjourn. They just never met a quorum requirement yesterday. So I think they were trying to stymie on my legislations. I'm just kidding.
Okay, so we can proceed then, and if need be, we'll. The thought is to also have Madam Attorney General Lorraine Paul on the call when this legislation is on the table, and committee members. I got 1 foot out the door to go to this transportation consultation. And so the BNF won't meet until November 12th. So I think we have enough time for myself to sign the legislation and do the committee report. But if they were going to do a special meeting, I thought so that'll give me time to get back to Window Rock on the 31st. So we can take care of it that way. Yes.
I was informed that they're going to convene on the 1st. So if we could have the committee report by some point that day when they'll consider it, that would be helpful.
Okay.
The 31st will be good. Thank you.
Yes, good. So we laid out a plan. Thank you. Okay, let's go to item number 4. Ms. Spencer, do we have anything with item number 4?
Mr. Chair and members of the PES committee, there is no journals on the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. So then let's proceed to item 5A. Ms. Spencer, review with the committee that particular agenda item, 5A.
Mr. Chair and members of the HES committee, under receiving report A, general wage adjustment completion for FY 2020 through 2021 and FY 2021 through 2022, an update from Division of Human Resources, Division of General Services, Department of Net Education, and Division of Social Services and Department of Health. Mr. Chair.
Okay. Who is our first presenter?
First presenter is Division of Human Resources, Dr. Perfilia Fowler, Division Director, Division of Human Resources. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Fowler, you have the teleconference floor.
Iheha yat eshe ado shiyaj shana adona shiyaj honorable HES committee members. Yat en hitini do lesto kodo ish eche okoti alceda ba asasit le jo a nanat update isliniki ado the Division of Human Resource General Wage Adjustment Update ito nihich ishla atada dos apenda basana ishla to Miss Benali. Under Division of Human Resources, we have 10 programs, including our administration. We have all Navajo Nation employees within our division that receive the GWA 2020 and 2021. All of them is yes. Number 2, have all the Navajo Nation employees within your division receive the GWA for 2021, 2022, and all of them is yes. And the next question that was brought up was if there are any Navajo Nation employees within your division who have not received a GWA for 2021 or 2021 to 2022. What is the timeline your division will plan to guarantee and confirm that all division employees have retroactively the GWA? As I indicated, we have paid out all our GWAs, so all DHR employees are up to date and no back pay is required. However, the new one that is coming up, we are working with our division in updating the GWA for the 2022 and 2023. And however, we do have some divisions and also some programs. I have 3 in my programs that are from external funds. And we did make proper contact with our external fund agency to let them know that there was a recent legislation that was approved and signed into law with the 2022 and 2023 GWA. Auto with me on the line is Department of Personnel Management. I have Ms. Toddy and Mr. Garrett Silversmith, and then also our delegated individual, Farron Garcia. If there are any questions, I know we do have some division and programs that are working closely with Department of Personnel Management as far as updates are concerned. But if any of the division do have questions, our DPM is also, Department of Personnel Management is also on this call.
Thank you, Dr. Fowler. Committee members, any questions? If not, then the chair has a different aspect that I'd like to present. Under the Division of Resource and Development, the council had appropriated the purchase of equipment, front-end loaders, graders, and in some cases, forklifts. And committee adopted policies where it required that the chapter personnel had to have a CDL to operate the equipment. But in my prior experience, I, for myself, would go through a certificate program, 1-day presentation. And I could jump on a front end loader, and then I would get another certificate for forklift, and then another certificate for operating tractors when I was at NAPI, and it didn't require a CDL. So in presenting that scenario to Mr. Roderick Begay, he basically said he used the job description and requirements for equipment operators that are listed within the Navajo Nation personnel system. So in that regard, is there the possibility to, and most of these chapters, they don't have, one of the reasons I thought was CDL is for over-the-road hauling, meaning getting on a highway or a dirt road using an 18-wheeler to transport items. The only exceptions is the ones for school bus drivers. And I think under that, then Head Start and the Adultex program hire van drivers. And they don't have to have CDL to get an endorsement. So in that aspect, how can you facilitate a new job description for the chapter equipment operators? And that would really, and the dilemma that the chapters have is because of that CDL requirement, the chapter equipment have not even logged any hours. And so that's where we're, I think, really need the help of personnel management to modify or create a new job description with a different set of qualifications. We have, in the 8 chapters that I represent, we have equipment operators that go all over. Yet, because of that CDL requirement, they can't help. So in that aspect, I'd like to see if you could, you and your staff could come up with a new job description with different set of qualifications. Dr. Fowler.
Chair, could I speak to that too when you have a moment?
Honorable Vice Chair Slater, go ahead.
Thank you. And I apologize, Shma. I just, this has been a huge thorn in my side and my chapter side, and I really want to echo what Chair So said. If you go to the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration website, it's subsection 383.5 definitions, guidance, questions, and answers. Question 5, must operators of motor graders or motor scrapers obtain commercial driver's licenses and be subject to controlled substances and alcohol testing if they operate the equipment on public roads? Guidance, no. So, you know, we are imposing a standard that is not consistent with really anybody else. I'm not even sure the BIA enforces a CDL for this. The only requirement, as Chair So indicated, is if you're going to be hauling that grader on the back of, you know, a low bed or, you know, a low boy flatbed trailer because of its weight. And I am unaware of any chapters, or there's certainly none within my district that intend to do that. So, you know, we are getting a lot of complaints, and the government is not being responsive at setting up roadblocks that are unnecessary, because This is not required by federal law. It's not required by any state law that'd be relevant here. It's just something that was changed by the Navajo Department of Transportation. I think back when I was there, I remember it changing, and they actually ended up losing staff members, operators. And I know that within my chapters, we have leadership and community members that said we will invest in the motor grader training, but we don't know if we can someone to go get a CDL license for several months or 2 months or however long it may be, depending on what the program is. So, I just really want to request that this be revisited ASAP. And I don't think it needs to be some sort of incredible study. You can look up this guidance. It's there. We're holding back road maintenance from all of these new motor graders that have been purchased across the nation to do work. And it's really hurting ourselves with all this moisture we've had. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Slater. Two, Dr. Fowler.
No, yeah, she ada she yash yeah. O dahazni eda o bohotest aneda ishjana ilya. Akadi position description niki saho and or ni no jo benahast ado saho and or ni behas. We can modify and readjust the position description. And we are working closely. We want to go within a partnership with our Navajo Technical University. NTU AJA Sato DCDL Wilyaniki Auto Provisional Certification and Licensure Niniki Auto Sato Illegal Haido Listo D Chapter Go. The staff development and training department is taking the lead, Ms. Kruger, and to see how we can better serve the individuals that need these trainings at the chapter level. And our focus, we're looking at some of the chapter areas, and we started some of this because with the COVID-19, we were lacking individuals that were to operate any backhoe due to funeral arrangements and stuff like that. So we are working with entities, and our program is taking the lead in assisting Department of Personnel Management and revisiting the job description. However, we also want to collaborate with Division of Community Development and get their wording into the updated revised job description. Following that, how many can we train in one day or in a weekend? Can we bring this individual out to the Navajo Nation, or can we send them to NTU and have them get trained on the forklift? And there is such a thing called the provisional licensure and certification. They can work toward their CDL license. And then that's what we're working on. So I really appreciate you bringing this up. And we want to make it sooner. Actually, our meeting was scheduled last week, and I had a conflict in schedule. So we are looking at rescheduling that meeting to see how we can better serve the individuals that do need training on our graders, our front end loaders, our forklifts, and what have you. So we are working on that, and I will keep you all updated on this. So rather than later, we want it sooner. So I agree with you. And any operation of any tribal company equipment, we also want to work closely with our Department of Transportation. The liability will they have to go through a drug and alcohol test as well. But how do we do that? How do we implement that? What policies do we follow? So those are some of the things that we are working on as well. And we'll be collaborating with Department of Transportation on the use of equipment that are tribally owned. So $80,000. So I know I did a lot in Navajo, but again, we are working with Department of Transportation, Division of Community Development in partnership with Navajo Technical University. And the lead individual is our program under our division with staff development and training department.
Thank you, Dr. Fowler. Committee members, do you have any follow-up? Dr. Fowler, I guess the one thing is the Navajo Nation is, we're in dire straits. And an instructor could go out to a chapter and anybody close by could gather up. They only need one piece of equipment, grader. Let's say if they want to be able to work at the chapter, run in the grader, have a grader there. And the processes of a walk around and the processes of getting instruction on the various levels, levers, operate that system. And let's not make it a bureaucracy on this. I mean, think of the time we appropriated the monies. And think of the time those equipments have been sitting at the chapters. In some cases, those equipment haven't even logged 1 hour. And so that return on investment in some cases is zero. The chapters have expended monies for liability coverage and related coverages. Yes, your presentation sounds okay, but the real effort has to be at the ground level. How many times does the divisions have to meet on this to get it implemented? You've all listened to agency council meetings. You've all listened to the quarterly reports, and it's a high issue item. So please, let's get something going. It's very, very. Yesterday I was at a roads meeting and man, it's as simple as that. Some of the people just basically says, that's not why you got reelected. You can't even get just these things. So in that aspect, let's cut the bureaucracy down and have an instructor go to the chapters. Work with the CSCs, work with the delegates to convene prospective operators. Thank you. Committee members, any further discussion with Dr. Fowler? Okay, committee members, let's go on to, and the way we'll proceed is once all the divisions report, then the chair will ask for a motion to accept the report from all the presenters. Under item number 5, Miss Lorraine Spencer. The next item, 5B.
Yes,
Review with the
Mr. Chair
committee.
and members of the S Committee, the next division will be Division of General Services. Presenter Oliver Arvizo, Division Director, Division of General Services. Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. My name is Oliver Arvizo, Division Director for Division of General Services. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, committee. Thank you for all being here, and then thank you for the opportunity. And I do have my senior planner, Marcus Yazzie, on the line. A couple others. We have Pearl Lee, we have Sonia Nez, and if I'm not mistaken, I have Royetta. So I'm going to start off with basically same questions that we addressed the last HESI meeting, and I'll go down the line here. Question number 1 was, have all the Navajo Nation employees within your department received the general wage adjustment for 2020 through 2021? The answer to that is yes, that has been completed. Number 2, have all the Navajo Nation employees within the Division of General Services received their general wage adjustments for 2021 through 2022? The answer to that one there is yes, everyone has been covered and paid. Number 3, if there are Navajo Nation employees within your department who have not received a general wage adjustment for 2020 through 2021 or 2021 through 2022, what is the timeline for your department? We'll plan to guarantee and confirm that the Navajo Nation employees will retroactively make adjustments. At this time, and we're tracking any others, and that's. Can you guys hear me? Am I okay?
Yes, we can hear you, Mr. Arvizo.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I had a notification saying my internet was going out here. Okay, so thank you. That because my screen keeps freezing on my end, so that's why I asked. Okay, that is the questions answered to the general wage adjustments. I do have my staff online if any questions are posed. Chair, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Arvizo. Committee members, any questions? There have been none. The chair would pose a question. What about the COLA that was adopted by the council, general wage adjustment for fiscal year 22 to 23? What is the status of those adjustments?
Excuse me. Thank you, Chair, for the question. I'll defer the question over to my senior planner, Marcus Yazzie. Marcus Yazzie, are you there, Marcus?
Yes, I am.
Chair, can you repeat the question one more time again?
The council recently adopted and the president signed into law the 22-23 operating budget. Within that budget, there was I think it was a 5% general wage adjustment, and has the division implemented it? And are the employees currently getting that adjusted wage?
This is Marcus Yazzie with the Division of General Services. Can you all hear me?
Yes, Marcus, I can hear you, man.
Yes.
Okay, in response to that question there, from my understanding, all the general funds account have been updated with the 5% GWA increase for fiscal year 22 to 23, or 23 to 22, I believe. With that right now, proprietary is looking within their budgets to cover the 5%. I am working with employee housing and fleet management on theirs. Right now, we're reviewing their budgets to see where we can take the funding from to cover the cost, because the 5% increase in the wage adjustment and then the increase in fringe benefits is it's kind of hitting the budgets on the operation side. But we are looking at their budgets to go ahead and submit the 5% increase to cover their personnel expenses. That concludes my response.
Approximately how many in the proprietary accounts? How many employees?
As of right now, there is about 6 proprietary accounts. It depends on which department you're looking at. I do see workers' comp. I do see employee benefits. I see records management, fleet, employee housing program, and airport. Is who I see with their on their side for the proprietary accounts. I'm not too sure on the total, but I can go ahead and get that to you as soon as possible.
Yes, please share it with our legislative advisor, and she can distribute it to the committee.
Okay, I'll go ahead and do that. Thank you.
Oh, Hagushin. Thank you. Committee members, any follow-up questions? Mr. Arvizo, in the upcoming committee meeting, please prepare yourself for a presentation. There was a bill sponsored by Honorable Eugene So to address the ADA access to tribal buildings. And there seemed to be an issue with a particular resolution back in 2018, which basically exempted tribal nations from complying with the ADA requirements. And that seemed to be a big big issue. And we want to get around that. If it means amending that 2018 legislation. The committee would want to address that particular aspect because of what we're seeing. Let me see. That particular legislation, it was CJY 6318. Take a good look at it. And even Miss Henderson with our legislative council, please also review that. And then, the folks over at the Department of Justice. So that's basically what I really like to address. Thank you. With that, and thank you, Mr. Arvizo, Mr. Yazzie, for the presentation. Ms. Spencer, could you review with the committee the next presenter at 5C?
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the HES committee. The next presenter under receiving reports A3 is Department of Diné Education. Presenters, Dr. Harold Begay, Superintendent of Schools, Department of Education, and Dr. Carmen Malfa, Deputy Superintendent, Department of Education. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Spencer. Dr. Begay, Dr. Moffett, you have teleconference floor.
Yeah, there. Good morning, everyone. Honorable members of Health, Education, Human Services Committee. I got to sit in on this. If I may continue on this very, very important question of the general wage adjustment. And the information we have on the questions, again, the general wage adjustment, the fund sources come from two sources, from the general fund and also grant sources, external funds from the federal and state and other organizations. And so in response to number one, has everyone received their general wage adjustment? The report we have is yes, they have. And Department of Education, have they received their general wage adjustment? And yes, they have. And for the general funds, they were automatic with the new fiscal year, October 1st. With their grant sources, the program managers, they have to get back to their grant sources where they're getting the funds from, and they have to have approval for making line item changes, journal entries, taking line items where funds were not fully expended, and they can transfer these into the general wage adjustment. And that is completed or being processed for the next payroll if they haven't already, but they all have and will be receiving their general wage agreement with the external grant sources. And this is taking a little bit of time. Once they receive their approval, they have to go to the comptroller's office for some changes in their personal action form, and then these again to the personnel office, and then these are forwarded to payroll, and that's a little bit of paperwork involved there, and that may be taking a little bit of time for some staff. And again, all of our staff, they have or will be paid for the fiscal year 22-23 with the general wage adjustment. And for fiscal year 2021-22, that is being researched currently. That's a lot of document that has to be reviewed. And so that is pretty much our report. It's not honest and understanding from the Department of Education. I can also defer questions for detailed answers that you may have to Julia Mitchell, our acting accountant here. And she has been very, very busy researching all of this. And so with that, Honorable Chair and Vice Chair and members, that is our report. Questions, if you have.
Chairman, so if I may.
Yes, Dr. Moffett. Go ahead.
Actually, this is Julia Mitchell. Yate Chairman, so Vice Chairman,
sorry.
Vice Chairman Slater and honorable members, Begay, Halona, So, and Wanika, Akiaha and Sago for giving us this opportunity, and Shea Nana Julia Mitchell and Shea Auto Nathan National Toy Leni Bushes Chin Tkabaha Dashe Auto Bit Atni A Dashanella, and I come from District 14. Auto, first of all, I want to say a big thank you to Dr. Cecilia Fowler and her crew from Department of Personnel Management for the big task of the automated adjustments for the GWA for our general fund positions, and also working hard with our external funded position programs who are working on this process. And as Dr. Begay and Dr. Moffitt had discussed this morning, it is their goal and their priority to ensure that this is executed, and it is, as far as the general fund and in notifying or receiving updates from our programs who receive external monies, Head Start, UNSPA, OSERS, and JOM. They also have excellent staff who are on top of this and who are in process, who've already identified funds and who are in process working with personnel to get these PAFs processed. So everything is a go here at Doty and everything is good. And for the external monies, again, they had to seek monies. And I think the big challenge was Head Start, but they've identified funds. So I just wanted to applaud everyone at personnel and also within the Doty administration for the account managers who have made this possible under the leadership of Dr. Begay and Dr. Moffitt.
Thank you. Ms. Mitchell. Committee members, any questions? Dr. Begay, we rescheduled the joint session with the Navajo Board of Education. Did the board come up with some new dates?
Chairman, so that is the case. We issued a email to all the board members, and they had indicated the earliest they could do was probably the first week of December, and for 2 days on Friday and the Saturday. And again, they were open to having this in Albuquerque, and the dates they'd mentioned was December 2nd and 3rd. And so that's tentatively, we're looking at that for the leadership meeting between HESI and Doty board members. Honorable Chair.
Okay, thank you, Dr. McGay. At this end of the meeting, then we will, I will poll the committee members to see if that can be accomplished. Since we work with multiple chapters, some of us, usually the first few days of a calendar month, they schedule planning meetings. That would be the only drawback on that first weekend.
Okay.
Other than that, that's about it, I think. Committee members, any questions? Comments? If not, then let's proceed on. Ahead, Dr. McGay and Ms. Mitchell and Dr. Moffett.
If you go ahead and just
Ms.
go,
Spencer?
thank you very much.
Ms. Spencer,
Yes, Mr.
the
Chair
next item.
and HES committee members. The next item will be, since Navajo Veterans Administration will be referred to the next meeting, so the next item will be Division of Social Services. Presenters are Philbert Yazzie, Brenda Sosi, Rhonda Jishi, Regina Yazzie, Deanna Neswit Gishi. Mr. Chair, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Swerline, are you on the call?
Yes, sir, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, we heard you, and go ahead and proceed.
Thank you, sir. I'm glad that I'm still on the call. I was told that I was deferred to the next meeting for this item, but I do have the information here that to the answer of the first question, have all the employees within the department received the wage adjustment for 2021? The answer is yes. Have all of the employees on the second question received the wage adjustment for 21 to 22? And that answer is yes also. According to our records, there are no employees that are owed back pays for the general wage adjustments for either of these two fiscal years. In anticipating a question, our program is working with the Department of Personnel Management to prepare the PAFs for fiscal year 23 to have those wage adjustments implemented for this fiscal year. They have not happened yet, and we do not have an estimated timeline on when those PAFs will be completed at this time. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Swerline. What about for fiscal year 22 and 23?
Thank you for the question, sir. As I had just mentioned, we are working with DPM to get those wage adjustments established, and they have not been done as yet.
Okay, thank you. And when do you project that those adjustments will kick in?
Thank you for the question, sir. As I mentioned, that is being worked on by DPM in the program, and we do not have a projection based on the current workload of DPM. I know they are working very diligently to get those PAFs created and to be able to be processed in the system, but we have not been given a timeline on when they project to have those to us. Thank you.
Chair, can I ask a question?
Honorable Vice Chair, you have the floor.
Thanks. Doesn't the program produce the PAF and then provide it back to DPM? Or I guess I'm confused while we're waiting for DPM. I thought the program does everything and then submits it over to them. Then they just double check the work and input it.
Thank you for that question, sir. I had that same understanding last year, and we had started as a program to do that for last year's GWA, but we had submitted those and they were rejected by DPM. They told us they would generate those on their own. And I confirmed that they had done that the previous year also, and that they were going to be doing that for fiscal year 23 also.
Chair, should I?
Chair. Honorable Vice Chair Slater. You have the
Thank you.
floor.
Could we hear from Dr. Fowler on this? Because I guess I'm hearing inconsistent things across different programs, and I want to have an understanding of what the standard operating procedure is.
Yes, thank you. Dr. Fowler, are you still on the call?
Mr. Chair, this is Dr. Fowler. Ms. Toddy will provide that response, and I also have Mr. Sosi, Garrett Sosi with DPM. Ms. Toddy, could you please provide the response? Thank you.
Hello,
Yes.
everyone. This is Garrett Sosi with Department of Personnel Management. So in reference to the Veterans Administration, all employees have been automated. Their general wage was processed beginning of the fiscal year. So it's just a matter of our office generating the automated copies for the department's records. However, all staff are updated with the FY23 salary schedule.
Chair, can I ask a follow-up?
Yes, you certainly can. Thank you.
Thank you. So this would be from Mr. Sosi. Does that mean that all of the Navajo Nation general funded programs have been automated, or do you have a delineation on which ones have and haven't?
All general funds have been automated. There were a total of, I believe, 1,900 employees that were updated. So it's just the external funded programs as well as the non-general fund who are funded by proprietary, special revenue, or other accounts that need to do budget transfers before implementing the new salary schedules.
Chair, can I ask another follow-up?
You certainly can, Vice Chair Slater.
Thank you. So Mr. Sosi, would that also include proprietary funds or to your personnel that are funded out of like trust funds, et cetera? So non-external funds, they're still Navajo Nation, like indigenous funding, but I'm curious about that. Thank you.
For those programs, they would also need to identify the funds before implementing the general wage, meaning that budget transfer would be needed.
Is there any prospect for automating that, or is that always going to require a fund transfer when it comes to the trust funds and proprietary funds?
Depending on the size of the program, they do have the option to submit manual PAFs or request for an automation after their budget is approved.
Okay, so assuming, say you have a proprietary or trust funded personnel, the fiscal year 23 budget passes, but the GWA, obviously is not implemented until after the budget is passed. Does that mean there's always going to have to be a budget transfer, or?
Correct.
Okay, well, I think that'd be something that'd be helpful to investigate for the fiscal year 24 budget, how we could automate those items, because they're going to be pursuing the GWA regardless.
Definitely.
We'll go Vice Chair Slater. Your thoughts on the response?
Well, Chair, I mean, I'm very encouraged that we have moved toward automating the general funded programs, and that's taking place. But I think we know the vast majority of the funding that comes into the Navajo Nation is external funds. And then when you consider the fact that we do have those proprietary and trust funds, we need to figure out how to automate that process, because let me think. Ordinarily, when we budget for personnel, it's a very specific amount that is calculated for specific positions. And I wonder if we could provide guidance in the BIM that says budget with, 3, 4, 5%, and have the several different budget options available for potential GWAs. And then when it comes to the passage by the council, DPM could then automatically input for that amount. Or if they could put in, just an excess 5%, and then they could recapture that and rebudget it, administratively after the fact, if say it's a 2% or a 3% GWA, et cetera. That's all I got, Chair. Thank you.
Yes, I guess again, the reason that this is a continuing item on our agenda is in this new age of doing business by text or emails. The big number of texts that I've received is, they haven't gotten it for this first pay period. So that's concern. It's a big concern because of inflation and the prospect of a recession, and they really are concerned. And so that's the reason that this item is still on our agenda. Thank you. So yes, the thoughts on having automating the proprietary funds, ones that come from grants and contracts, and other funding sources, really needs to also be automated. Most especially where there are high numbers of federally funded positions. Thank you. Ms. Spencer, on to the next item.
Mr. Chair and members of the committee, the next one will be Division of Social Services. Presenters are Solbert Yazi, Brenda Sosi, Rhonda Jishi, Regina Yazi, and Deanna Nesbitt Gishi. Thank you.
I think it's Rosalind Begay. Thank you, Ms. Spencer. Ms. Nesbitt Gishi, have the teleconference floor. Who is the next person who would be available for the presentation on these items that are to be answered to.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee,
Yes.
good morning. This is Regina Yazzie with Department of Family Service. I'm not quite certain, but Ms. Neswit Gishi is not on the call today. So I'm going to give the time to Philbert Yazzie to do the presentation. Phil, I believe you're on the call.
Yazzie? Mr. Philbert Yazzie?
Okay. Let's see. Brenda.
Good
Susi.
morning, Chairman. So can you hear me?
There you are. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, can you hear me? I have the receiver on. I had myself on mute. Good morning, Chairman. So I will be presenting on behalf of the Division of Social Services. Ms. Neswit Gishi, Executive Director, is on assignment with the Office of President, Vice President today and will not be on call. I also have Ms. Brenda So-C on the line to respond to any financial matters associated with the GWA report. And if I may continue on, Chairman So.
Yes, continue. Thank you.
Okay. Yat A. Bennett, Honorable Chairman So, Honorable Carl Slater, Vice Chair, and Honorable HES Committee members. My name is Philbert Yazzie, and I am the Senior and Program Project Specialist with the Division Executive Office for Social Services HR section. We are reporting on the last report we had submitted a couple weeks ago, and for question item 1, have all Navajo Nation employees within the division received the general wage adjustment for 2020 to 2021? All departments and programs of the division are up to date at the BJ pay schedule, with the exception of Department of Family Services. Currently, there are 104 employees who they're updated at the pay schedule, but their back pays are still due them. And we are working with the internal finance section at the Executive Office to assist Department of Family Services with their accounting ledgers for personnel salaries for 2021. Once that is done, once all the ledgers are up to date, then we use that as a support document to submit a backed budget transfer request. So that's in the works now, and we're looking at the end of November 30th to get over to OMB for processing. Item number B, have all Navajo Nation employees within your division received their wage adjustments for 2021-22? All departments, with the exception of Department of Family Services, are still due are up to date to the BQ pay schedule. So Family Services has 104 employees. 63 of the employees are up to date, and these are external funded positions at the state level, funded positions that were up to date since June or July of this year. And the remaining are basically our 638 admin administration as well as 638 welfare funded positions that are being looked at as far as the accounting ledgers to track where there is a shortfall in funding to address the to bring staff up to the BQ pay schedule with the budget transfer. And again, as I had mentioned, we're also looking at November 30th to get this information over to OMB for them to post a budget so that the automation of employment assignments can be submitted to Department of Personnel Management for their processing. And lastly, we have Department of Self-Reliance. They had 2 reports from Department of Personnel Management with their reports that were not updated with their general wage adjustment. One of the staff that was not updated was a transfer from Department of Family Services. Because this Family Services had not updated their staff to the GWA for the past 2 years, there was a lapse in getting a PAF submitted to DPM for this staff. But today, the PAF is pending fund verification with contract accounting to be submitted to DPM to get this staff updated to the BQA level. And then from that point forward, Department of Self-Reliance will then submit another PAF for her hiring for the transferred position she transferred into to update the staff to the current pay level, and then moving forward to the current BX pay schedule. Again, this is all based on funds being transferred, and we're expecting the this to be situated by November 30th. And then lastly, we had one other report for Department of Child Care and Development with one staff that was not updated with the BQ level. Unfortunately, I believe the staff was within the introductory period, so when an automation occurs, automation will not pick up anything within that respect for introductory, or if a staff is on family medical leave or other leave until they return. So that's when a PAF has to be submitted to update the staff. But to date, staff has been updated and staff has been paid out for the difference in rate pay for at the BQ level. Item number C, if there are any nomination employees within your division who have not received the general wage adjustment for 2021 to 2022, as mentioned, Chairman, we are working diligently to get Department of Family Services situated with their back pay for staff, as well as getting them updated to the previous fiscal year pay schedule. Once that occurs, then once the budget revision or budget transfer occurs, then we can move forward with, as I had mentioned, the automation of employment assignments for department personnel to automate the PAS to be generated for staff. And at that point in time, once that's done, then we can start moving forward with the back pay request. But because of the amount of staff that we have for the Department of Family Services, we're looking, proposing December 31st to get everybody situated with the back pay for previous fiscal years as well. And for Department of Self-Reliance, as I had mentioned, on item 2A, everything will be situated once we get the one staff updated with Family Services, with the PAF, and then from that point on, DSR will do another PAF for the staff for the transfer position. And we're expecting this to be completed by the end of the month of November, and then paid out by the end of December 28th as well for the staff. Thank you, Chairman. So that's the report for the Division of Social Services.
Committee members, any questions? Yeah. Oh, Tele. Honorable Wanika.
Yeah, Chair, I appreciate the report, and this is what I'm always concerned about, is the vision of social service, especially Department of Self-Reliance and then Department of Family Services. I wish under Department of Family Services there was agency staff. I don't know if any agency staff is online. I wish they would verify the report. I know they're always having problems as far as being updated on what's happening. I don't know. I feel that we need to revisit this because sounds like most of the concerns will be taken care of by November the 30th. But then we're also told December 31st for the Navajos, and I think this is the only division that's not really up to date on a lot of these requests that were made. So I don't know what we need to do. I think we need to do a follow-up on this division. Ada, Chair, thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Winika. To that point, to the presenter, do you have a response?
Yes, I do, Chairman. So thank you for those comments, Delegate Wanika. Yes, as had mentioned, we are actually we had given two time periods to meet the I guess proposed deadlines that the division had put forth, only to ensure that there is enough time and sufficient time for the budget transfers to be updated by OMB by November 30th, and then given time, additional time for submission of the back pay request for the difference in rate payments for staff to Navajo Nation payroll section, and also for Navajo Department of Personnel Management to automate and to process manual PIS for those positions that don't necessarily need the automation of employment assignment. For that reason, we have provided those 2 dates. So I hope that is the response you're looking for, Delegate Wanika.
Honorable Wanika, do you have a follow-up?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I guess my concern is there's always conflicting information from the central office and also to the agency at the agency level. And when we went and visited some of the services at the local level, there's always concerns, complaints that information are not being provided, and there is no visitation from the central office to the local offices for any updates or for any concerns that's coming from the local level. I don't know if this is just going to be a continuing concern. I don't know if we need to do a follow-up on this particular division. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Wanika. To the presenter, is the division requiring an annual evaluation before the submittal of the FA personal action form to institute the general wage adjustment?
Okay, I'm going to defer. That sounds like a finance question, Chairman, so thank you for that question. I'm going to defer that over to Ms. Regina Yazzie, Department Manager for Department of Family Services, and Ms. Brenda Sosi, Principal Accountant with the Executive Office.
Thank you. Ms. Regina Yazzie, Ms. Brenda Sosi.
Chair, members of the committee, this is Regina Yazzie. I'm unclear about your question about an evaluation. Can you please clarify?
In past meetings and responses from some of the workers, there was the aspect that their general wage adjustments were being implemented because there was a requirement for an evaluation. And some of these folks that got the evaluation, you know, their forms was just being held up awaiting for the evaluations on other personnel before it would be sent forward. And that's the reason for this question.
Okay, so I believe I believe what you're asking is the step increase request for those employees who were eligible for a step increase request. And they were approved by Department of Personnel Management Committee, Review Approval Committee, and they were then returned to the department for some of those staff that were approved. And those were processed. And again, back to Phil in terms of those step increase request forms. They were approved and they were then, and correct me, Phil, I believe you would know this better than myself in terms of an update. They were approved and processed. And we were waiting on those to be fully processed before the general wage adjustment can then be considered and implemented thereafter. Am I correct, Phil?
Yes, you are. I believe, Chairman. So, for clarification, yes, those what you're referring to is the evaluation. I believe you are referring to the step increase that were based on annual performance evaluation that were completed on staff and recommendations of step increase that were recommended by the immediate supervisors of the staff. We actually got a handful of those, and they were approved by DPM, but because of the short staffing of accounting within the Department of Family Services, that responsibility for budget transfer was put on the Division of Executive Office, and Ms. Brenda Sosi completed a budget transfer, and the budget posted and the PAS for those step increases were submitted and were processed. And there, from my understanding, there was maybe like 6 or 7 that were processed that were approved for step increases. So I believe that is what you're referring to. And as far as difference in repayment for those step increases, I believe the difference in repayment for the time period they were their effective date to the end of their fiscal year will be what will be calculated along with the budget transfers for the general wage adjustments. Am I correct, Ms. Sosi?
Ms. Sosi, you have the floor.
Good morning, Chairman So, members of the committee. This is Brenda Sosi. I work with the Executive Office. I'm the Principal Accountant. On the question for the step increases, yes, there were several of them. I would say about 21 of them that were approved. So a budget revision was done and it was approved through OMB, and now the personal action forms just need to be updated. That pay requests needs to be made on those requests that had come in. So that's being taken care of. So also, I just want to add that for the not the step increases, but for the general wage adjustments, I hear the accounting section, I had to develop a whole personnel worksheet. So I had to do the reconciliation of that, budget against expenses in order to really find out where and when the general wage adjustment started applying, meaning when did they start the general wage adjustments? When were they actually approved and staff began to get their salary adjusted? So that's what I've been reviewing. So the accounting part of it is what I've been working on, and I'm finished reconciling all those accounts. Now going back, there were, I'll make one as an example. There were like 3 pay periods, where the general wage adjustment begins at the beginning of the fiscal year. So with the 638 contract that we have, it's a calendar year, so it'll be January to December. So I'm actually working with 2 calendar years. So if there was a wage adjustment that happened from October, so that business unit from October, December will be different. Then from January to the end of September will be another business unit. So I've been reconciling those business units. And like I said, I'm done with it. Now it's just the part where how many pay periods are the staff owed. It's where it's not an overall, I mean, there's only certain hours. It's not where it's the full, like the whole year, 80 hours. So that's what I'm doing right now. Once that is completed, I have an estimate date by the end of this week. I'll finish off everything. Then from there, whatever budget's needed, then I will do a budget revision. That's what Phil is talking about, where he's saying that there's a budget revision that needs to be done. So, and then those are the funds that will be requested to put back into these line items, each individual personnel subcodes. So once that's done, then the back pays can be done. So that's why we're given 2 different dates, budget revisions by the 18th of November, and then complete the back pay forms by the 30th. So that's what I've been working on, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Sosi. I see your response. You're kind of tentative. Please understand that we're not trying to place any blame anywhere. We just want some good information, and what this aspect of it could drive policy revision, and that would be something that the committee and staff will discuss going forward. And so please understand that. Thank you for your work. I know you have a tremendous load, as well as all the other accountants within each of the divisions. Thank you. Committee members? And really what you've done, the 3 of you have really clarified, and now I have a better idea of how this works. And when I do get an issue from a constituent, then I have a better response. Thank you. With that, Ms. Lorraine Spencer, the review with the committee, the next item.
Wait, Chair, can I ask a question?
Oh, back up. Honorable Vice Chair Slater, you have the floor.
Thanks. I really got lost toward the end of the presentation with some of the questions. So did we get a written report from the division on where they stand?
Not from this division,
Okay.
but
I mean, I know that we've asked for that
okay.
each time, and
Yeah.
we got one
And
really
I guess,
late last time and getting exasperated.
In the motion to adopt the reports, that could be a directive if you want, Honorable Slater.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'll do that. But I mean, in summary, Chair, is it everything has been put up to date with of the back pays? That's just where we're at right now for family services.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Ms. Yazzie.
the report was emailed yesterday at 4:41 to Angelita Benali from Marlinda Littleman.
Oh, let's see. Committee members, have you review your email accounts? Okay. Ms. Yazzie, we haven't gotten it. But
Can we send it to Angelita
now? Okay, yes, resend it.
Okay, I just now did it to Miss Benali.
Okay.
Well, Ms. Benali is on leave, as was indicated earlier. So we need you to send it to Ms. Spencer or send it directly to the whole committee.
Okay.
Spencer.
Chairman, so this is Filbert again. It could be that because we Division of Social Services under a different domain. The email that was sent to as the navajo-innocent.gov email, so it might be in the Cindio catch-all box. So if it was sent to Ms. Benali, it's going to be sitting there more than likely.
What is Miss Spencer's email?
Excuse me, my email address is lspencer@navajo-nsn.gov.
Okay. Thank you. Is that Laureen Spencer?
Yes, but it's just L when you sent the email, L
Okay.
Spencer.
Okay, here it is. Thank you. I sent it to you.
Honorable Vice Chair, do you have follow-up?
Yeah, I guess I just wanted a simplified summary for my sake and for, I don't know, anyone else who's listening on the line who might have gotten lost there. So the question I asked was, is everything up to date for family services and we're now just working on the back pay? And when I say up to date, that means, there were several different groups of people who had received, last year's, but not, and then others who hadn't received last year's, and everybody essentially need to be brought up to date and then identify the back pay for, wherever they had been missed prior. So that's what I'd like to know, Chair.
Yes, to the presenters. Whoever wants to respond to that.
Good morning again, Chairman. So thank you. This is Filbert Yazzie. I'm going to defer this question over to Ms. Sosi. As far as the updates at which pay schedule we Department of Family Services at. As far as I know, everybody is up at the BJ scale, and anything beyond that will be based on the budget transfer. Ms. Sosi?
Hey, Mr. Chair, members of the committee, this is Brenda Sosi. According to the personal action form, yes, everybody was updated to the BJ scale. Or the BQ scale, I'm sorry, to the BQ scale, which is the current scale that ended on 9/30. So everybody was updated. So what's going to happen next is after, like I said, I reconciled everything, identified how many hours is needed for each individual. And from there, the funds will need to be identified because we're looking at last year and the following year. So we're looking at 2 years. So when I do that, or when that's identified, then the budget revision needs to be completed. To do the budget revision, we need to identify funds for each personnel. So that's what's going to happen. And that's the date that we're working with, which is the November 18th timeline that we're working with. From there, once that's completed, then the back pay will be processed. And our timeline to pay those out is by November the 30th. So there's still several steps we need to take to get these personnel paid out. It's hours that they still have to get back paid for. Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Sosi. Honorable Vice Chair Slater, you have follow-up?
Can you hear me now, Chair?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
You are audible.
Okay, so they're up to date to the fiscal year 22 pay scale. Is that was it DJ you said? Ms. Sosi?
Correct, that's the BQ scale.
Okay, so then you're gonna calculate the back pay, get that paid out, and then you're gonna bring everybody up to the fiscal year 23, start paying them out, and then calculate their back pay to October 1?
Correct.
Okay, and you're saying you're gonna get this all done by the end of next month?
That's right.
Okay. Now, when you said November 30th, did I hear you right that was a controller's office imposed deadline?
Well, that's our timeline. I methat that's our deadline. I know that we still have like a month to work with, but that's just a timeline. It could be sooner. It's just that timeline. We're giving that deadline date so that way we're actually aiming for that timeline.
And can you review the number of employees that this affects?
The number of employees, we're looking at 100 and Bill, can you help me? 104 employees?
Yeah, for Department of Family Services, 104 employees are affected.
Okay.
Thank you. Honorable Vice Chair. Follow up?
No, I just think there needs to be further accountability. And the only thing that this committee has at its disposal is to continue bringing it up. And Chair, I appreciate you doing that because it devotes a lot of our time that we need to dedicate elsewhere across all of these different Navajo Nation programs. And I appreciate you standing up for our employees, Chair. So this is really an administrative executive branch performance issue. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. Ms. Sosi, Mrs. Yazzie, in your response, it covered 2 fiscal years. What if those employees either retired or resigned, but never got the general wage adjustment, or even the what was it you called step increase? How will those be handled?
Mr. Chair,
Thank
this
you,
is Brenda
Chair.
Sosi. I can answer that.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. We did evaluate everything. Like I said, I had to create the worksheet of each business unit. So from there, that's how I was able to determine the expenses and what the personnel has been paid out. In that, it also lists all the personnel that were employed. So I did see, like I said, based off of my analysis, I did see there were some retirees. Some of the staff had left. So those are all considered to be back paid. So each individual that's owed the step increases back pay, those will be paid out. So that's where the analysis is. It's going to be for each individual. That's how it came to, I mean, from developing these spreadsheets. And, you know, there was really no accounting personnel that was helping DFS. So I had to recreate all those spreadsheets. So that's what I had to do in order for accounting to really see where, you know, the whole overall status. That's what has to happen is do research and look at, you know, all the expenses. That's the only way you'll see who hasn't been paid out or who has been paid. And, you know, that's what, I mean, that hard part of the analysis has been completed. Right now, it's just where we just need to compile everything together and put monies back into those line items and then do the back pay. So that's where it's at right now. So it will all be done, you know, all these back pays, like I said, to these individual all at once. So adon da is go the at ajo at asko evaluate yeah jo hot ishla. So epic thousand, like some of these personnel that had left the abahazania the quick hours shin out of agenda is yata adiki the do at hot ada to just to a certain pay periods to a that general wage adjustment yeah agenda is yeah nana such a hota. So it's just not like a whole year do hot ada to agenda is yeah. So 80 at let's call Kadish Jana Elia. So Kakodo Nasa Eya, those bad pays Gideya, Jo Edeya, Ebe Bahazan, adult Nana Nelia, Haila salary in the adult current salary, ADG, other how many hours were lacking, a other calculate Nana. So a atishne that the accounting part of it, Exoishla. Yeah, that's the next step is where the back pays are going to come in, the budget revisions are going to come in. So I mean it's a big progress. I mean other so that's really unfortunate. And but right now we're moving forward and you know getting all that corrected. So I'm really working on it as much as I can, Joe. Hopefully, you know, moving forward, we'll have accounting staff soon. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Sosi. Committee members. Any further comments? Again, Ms. Sosi, we realize that you're really reaching back into 2 fiscal years and entering the third. Please understand that we're not, again, trying to find guilt anywhere, but what the concern is to make sure that employees are adequately served with the proper wage. And the only thing we can do is reach up to the upper level of management. Basically, it seems like it's it shouldn't happen. We'll handle it in a different manner, at a different time. Thank you, but we appreciate your work.
I appreciate that, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
So actually, on me, it's real stressful. At times, it's almost seems impossible, but please realize that the committee understands the great task you've taken on, and you are to be commended for staying on that work. It's all what on but thank you for your dedication.
Thank you.
So let's move on to the next one, Miss Laureen Spencer.
Yes, Mr. Chair and members of the HES committee members. The next one will be Department of Health Presenter, Dr. Jill Jim, Executive Director, Navajo Department of Health. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Spencer. Dr. Jill Jim, you have the teleconference floor.
Oh, I'm Dr. Jill Jim, Executive Director for Navajo Department of Health, Ado Shana, and also HES committee members and those on the call. Thank you for allowing me to present the Navajo Department of Health's DWA summary. I did send an email this morning, similar to the one that was sent prior. There were 3 programs that I needed to do follow-up on them, which is OEH and health education. Their DWA is up to date, as I stated in the memo. And then the DOLTEX program, there were a few remaining employees, and we're working on getting those processed as well with DPM and ensuring that they get their general wage adjustments. So we should be done fairly soon for all of the divisions and programs for the Navajo Department of Health. That will complete my report. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shadeja. Dr. Jill Jim. Committee members, any questions as we go forward?
Chair.
Kind of a side. Yes, Honorable Vice Chair Slater, go ahead.
Thank you. How many employees are still affected and that they haven't been brought up? And what is the timeline for getting them updated?
I would say less than a handful. I would say less than 5 staff for DOLTEX, and it really depends on the process that we have. And so it's out of the DOLTEX. All the documents are completed, so it's just a matter of it going through the other divisions. Thank you.
Everything has been submitted to DPM. You're just waiting on DPM.
And OOC, yeah, for both of those verifications and how the process goes for updating their PAFs and funding. Yes.
When you say verification, that's the funds verification from OOC, or is it
Yes.
contract accounting?
Yes.
Chair, I think that that's something we really, when you look at how the nation slows down, it's just like we're double and triple checking information, which means that we don't have some sort of centralized repository to accurately convey what the current balances are. And I think in any other circumstance, you have a computer that stays up to date with expenditures and with balances. And I feel like we just are keeping people employed to keep people employed, and it slows down this whole process. I think in like state and federal situations, you're provided the guidance by your OMB or state OMB officers, and then it's the program's responsibility. And there isn't this constant looking over their shoulders to check things out. That said, we've seen a lot of mismanagement from all sorts of programs, but this doesn't seem to be effective. And the people who are hurt the most are those under the externally funded accounts. So just a thought. I again, the legislative branch has provided authority, and it's really up to the executive branch to streamline those procedures. There's nothing the legislative branch can do when it comes to streamlining this. It's completely up to the president and OMB and OOC. So I don't know. I'd like to think someone wants to reform this system, but since I've been in government, and Chair, I think since you've been in government, there has been zero reform.
Yes, the bureaucracy has grown tremendously. And how do we change that? Streamlining. Thank you, Honorable Vice Chair, for your comments, and let's see how best we address that. Again, perhaps one of those caucuses. With that, Ms. Spencer, do we have any other item on under 5?
Mr. Chair and members of the HES committee members, no, that is the last report under 5A, receiving reports. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Spencer. Committee members, the chair is open for a motion to accept all the reports, and if necessary, other items of what you would want to include as we go forward. Committee members.
Chair, I'll motion and then request that or make a directive. Well, I'll take the advice of whatever our advisor says, Ms. Spencer. I'll accept or motion to accept the report, but I would say let's get a written update for our November 9th. Is that right? Our November 9th meeting?
Yes.
Okay. And then maybe the subsequent week we'll have a full update from all the programs.
So the chair will accept that motion. Committee members, do I hear a second?
Second, Monica.
Oh, let the record show Honorable Wanika second the motion. Any other comments or additions? Okay. Staff, could we do the roll call? Roll call vote on the motion.
Yes,
Honorable Paul Begay texts that he votes green.
okay, sorry, Chairman.
That's
So,
all right. That's all right.
okay,
Go ahead.
roll call vote on accepting the report. Honorable Vice Chairman Slater, how do you vote?
Green.
Thank you. Honorable Slater votes green. Honorable Pernell Halona, how do you vote? Honorable Paul Pernell Halona, how do you vote? Honorable Paul Begay votes green via text. Honorable Charlene So, how do you vote?
I vote green.
Thank you. Honorable Charlene So votes green. Honorable Edison Juanica, how do you vote?
Green.
Thank you. Honorable Edison Juanica votes green. Honorable Pernell Halona, how do you vote? Chairman, so we have 4 members voting in the affirmative, 0 opposing, 1 member not voting, and chairman not voting. Chairman?
Thank you. We appreciate your work, staff and committee members. And to all the folks still on the call, thank you for presenting the report. Ms. Spencer, we go now to item 6.
Mr. Chair and
Please
members of
review.
the HES committee members. So going to 5, receiving report under B is update from Gallup McKinley County Schools, Johnson O'Malley, Navajo students. Presenter will be Paulson Chaco, Chief of Staff, Office of the President and Vice President. Mr. Chair, thank you.
Thank you. Is Chief of Staff Paulson Chaco on the call?
Mr. Chair, this is Derek Franklin from OPVP. May I speak?
Where is Mr. Chaco?
I can answer that question.
I guess I'm going to have to quit saying protect Chaco if he's not on the call. Go ahead, Mr.
You deserve
Franklin.
a laugh there, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the HESI committee. I just received a text from Mr. Chaco. He waited on the line. He's actually on another call, but he asked me to go ahead and step in and provide you the updates on this subject, Mr. Chair. And with that, I'd like to request for executive session due to the sensitivity of the issue.
Okay. Committee members, your thoughts? I guess the Mr. Franklin, who would, since JOM is a program within the Department of Education, I would think Dr. Carol Begay and the program manager for JOM.
That is correct, sir.
As well as Office of Legislative Counsel, Ms. Bob Roth and Ms. Henderson, as well as let's see who else. The committee members, and of course, our legislative staff that are helping the committee today. Ms. Spencer, were you able to get the other teleconference number available?
Mr. Chair and members of the HES committee members, Angie is assisting me right now with that number, so I'll get with you as soon as I get that information. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, committee members, while we await that call-in number, let me call for, let's say, a 10-minute recess, and then we'll reconvene at 51 committee members. So the committee's in recess. And Ms. Spencer and Ms. Benali, those are the ones that I named off would be the ones that would be allowed into the teleconference. Once we reconvene, I'll ask for a motion and to go into executive session. We'll take a vote, and then after that, we'll get off this line and get on to the new call-in number. Thank you. But as soon as it's done, we'll resume back on this call-in number. Thank you. We are in recess.
Mr. Chair, this is Lorraine. Did you get the information for the caller for the executive session? It was sent to the members and those that you wanted to be on the call. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Spencer. Let's reconvene. Committee members, are you still on the call? Honorable Paul Begay, Honorable Edison Winika.
Chair.
Oh, yes.
I'm back on. My legislation's passed at RDC, so my home team has my full attention again.
Cool. The A team.
Yeah, exactly the A team, varsity.
Yeah. Okay. Staff, could we do the roll call to reestablish quorum?
Yes, Chairman. So roll call for the reconvening of the meeting. Honorable Daniel So.
I'm here.
Okay, thank you. Honorable Chairman Daniel So is present. Honorable Vice Chairman Carl Slater.
Present, thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Carl Slater is present. Honorable Paul Begay. Honorable Paul Begay. Honorable Pernell Halona. Honorable Pernell Halona. Honorable Charlene So. Honorable Charlene So. Honorable Edison Wanika.
Here.
Thank you. Honorable Edison Wanika is present. Honorable Paul Begay. Honorable Pernell Halona. Honorable Charlene So. Chairman, we have 3 members entering roll call and 3 members not entering roll call. Chairman?
Thank you. So we have quorum.
Chairman, so no, we don't have quorum. We have 3 members that answered roll call and 3 members that did not enter roll call. Chairman?
Okay, who are the 3 members that didn't answer? I was distracted.
Okay, the 3 members that did not answer is Paul Begay Jr., Pernell Halona, and Charlene So.
Okay. Um,
Chair, isn't it the case where when we're doing reports, the quorum is established, we can accept the reports?
oh boy. Miss Angelita Benali, can you text the whole group again that we're back in regular session and need to establish quorum? Honorable Slater, usually that happens before the adoption of the agenda. If there's not a quorum, we can go proceed to reports. But we went through the reports and accepted a motion in a second. Honorable Paul Begay, are you back on the call?
Staff, do we have committee members logged back on? We just need one more.
Chair, this is Delegate, so I'm on the call. I apologize, my call dropped.
Okay, thank you, Shabija. Let's do roll call again one more time.
Sure, Chairman, so roll call to reconvene the meeting. Honorable Daniel So?
I'm here.
Thank you. Honorable Daniel So is present. Honorable Carl Slater?
Present.
Thank you. Honorable Carl Slater is present. Honorable Paul Begay? Honorable Paul Begay? Honorable Pernell Halona? Honorable Pernell Halona? Honorable Charlene So?
I'm present.
Thank you. Honorable Charlene So is present. Honorable Edison Wanika?
Here.
Thank you. Honorable Edison Wanika is present. Chairman, we have 4 members present upon roll call and 2 members not entering roll call. Chairman?
Thank you. Thank you, committee members, for getting back on the call. We have a request to go into executive session from staff of Office of the President and Vice President. And at this time, the chair is open for a motion to go into executive session. Before I do that, Derek Franklin, are you on the call? Absent that, committee members, you think 40 minutes would be sufficient for this call? Go into executive session, because the motion has to include a time frame.
Chair, could I ask a question?
Sure. Thing about it is Mr. Franklin, who has delegated to present to the committee, isn't on the call, so we can't. So go ahead, ask your question.
Oh, I wonder if you already went into the executive session line.
Yeah.
My question is, what is the purpose of the executive session? I'm not familiar with the justification because I was presenting at RDC.
Oh, okay. Basically, Monday I got a text from Chief of Staff saying that he wanted to be on the agenda to present issues between Gallup-McKinley County School and Johnson O'Malley program. And as part of the request, when we went to item 5B, Derek Franklin basically said that he was delegated to present the issue to the committee and requested for an executive session.
Is it because of a potential legal action between the nation and Gallup-McKinley County?
Yes.
Okay, I think I have a little more understanding now. Well, Chair, with that in mind, I understand that because we need to preserve the integrity of the nation's position in any legal action or litigation or whatever the appropriate term is. So I'll make that motion, and then when we come back, I think it'd be good just for the record to state some of the issues we covered. But since I don't have a terrible amount of familiarity with the issue right now, because nothing in writing's been presented to me, I think it would be good if we speak with the lawyers and then come back and talk about it to some degree on the record. So I'll make the motion for 40 minutes, Chair.
Thank you. Committee members, do I hear a second?
Second, Juanita.
Sheila, thank you, Tele. Committee members, that requires no comment or discussion. Let's have staff do the roll call for the executive session.
Yes, Chairman, so roll call on the executive session. Honorable Carl Slater, how do you vote?
Green.
Thank you. Honorable Carl Slater votes green. Honorable Paul Begay, how do you vote? Honorable Paul Begay, how do you vote? Honorable Pernell Halona, how do you vote?
Halona votes green.
Thank you. Honorable Pernell Halona votes green. Honorable Charlene So, how do you vote?
I vote green.
Thank you. Honorable Charlene So votes green. Honorable Edison Juanita, how do you vote?
Green.
Thank you. Honorable Edison Juanita votes green. Chairman, we have 4 members voting in the affirmative, 0 opposing, chairman not voting, and 1 member not voting. Chairman?
Thank you. And at this time, the committee will go into recess so that we can address the issues presented in executive session. So we will reconvene at approximately 1:50. Thank you. So, Honorable Halona, there's an email with the executive session number and to all the
Yes,
committee
sir, I
members.
received it.
Okay,
Yes, sir, I
so we'll
received
see
it.
you there momentarily.
Okay.
And staff, please get into that call too. Thank you.